Welcome to the Growing Gorillas podcast. I'm Kisa Davison.
And I'm Travis Davison.
And this podcast is all about parenting. The ups, the downs.
The in-betweens.
We have absolutely no idea what we're doing.
But likely neither do you.
So kick back, relax, and enjoy.
Special thank you to the Cleared Hot podcast for use of the studio and Andy Stump for all of his invaluable information.
If you'd like to learn more about Cleared Hot, visit clearedhotpodcast.com.
Let's do this.
Drink LMNT. LMNT is our podcast sponsor today. It's a healthy alternative to sugary electrolyte drinks. Every grab-and-go stick pack replaces all the essential electrolytes that you need with no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, or any other junk. I drink LMNT every day, and so does Travis, to support...
Because it's delicious.
Well, I was going to say, I drink it to support my hydration. I would say my low-carb diet, my fast, my workouts, etc., but none of those things are true. I just drink it because it's good, and I need water in the morning. My favorite flavor is definitely the orange one, and the green one, and the pink one.
Yes, you're saying raspberry, orange, and lime.
Correct.
Which I don't disagree with you on. However, the watermelon is delicious.
And let's not forget the chili lime is good with tequila, as is the habanero mango, I think. The two spicy ones are really good with tequila. Not recommended in the morning, but still good with tequila.
Well, yeah, and it's kind of like, I guess, counterbalances.
Totally. It's a math equation. It works out somehow.
I don't think Rob Wolf necessarily is going to stand behind that.
I know, but he's not here, so...
That's true.
I'm the official on the subject. But listen, here's the cool part. As a member of our Growing Gorillas community, LMNT has a very, very, very cool offer for you. You can let them know that you are interested in trying out a sample pack. All you have to do is cover the cost of shipping, so you can get yours.
Which is what, like $5?
I don't know.
I think it's like $5. Anyways.
I just charge things on my credit card. I don't look at it.
Cheap.
So here's the URL. drinklmnt.com/growinggorillas. Now remember, growing gorillas, you have to spell all the way out, and there's 2 G's right in the middle, so don't screw it up. drinklmnt.com/growinggorillas.
And in the words of Stella Davison, hydrate or dihydrate.
I feel like LMNT should adopt that as their new
Well,
tagline.
they just did.
Okay. All right. Today we are talking with Serge and Liz Bouyssou. Does she go by Liz or Elizabeth? I only ever call her Liz.
I think she goes by Liz. At least that's what I call her.
Sensei Liz. I think you're right. Sensei Liz and Sensei Serge.
But her name is Elizabeth,
right.
I believe.
I call him Liz and Big Serge.
Even though he's small.
Right. But he's not little Serge. He's not little Sergy.
I think Sergey's bigger than Serge.
I think you're right. So Liz and Serge are becoming actually really fantastic friends. We're very excited to sit down and talk to them today. They have a very colorful background and a lot to contribute to this topic of parenting. Serge is the head coach and founder of Mayo Quanchi Judo, which is in Rhode Island. Mayo Quanchi is one of the more successful judo programs in the country, and they regularly place athletes on world teams at all levels. Serge was the recipient of the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee Coach of the Year award 4 times, actually. In 2019, he was chosen at Coach by Positive Coaching. 2016, he was inducted into the Coventry High School Hall of Fame. That feels like a really big deal, the Coventry High School Hall of Fame.
We are talking about Rhode Island, so it can't be that big of a deal.
Oh, I see what you did there. Rhode Island's actually very small.
I think it's the smallest state.
Just like Big Serge. He was also chosen as Coach of the Year by U.S. Judo Association and Coach of the Year by the Rhode Island High School Wrestling Association. Also a former national champion and 10 times chosen as the World and Pan American team coach. He has been involved in judo since 1974.
The year we were born.
That's right, which actually kind of makes him old Serge instead of just Big Serge.
Little old Serge.
Little old Serge. No, big old Serge.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, Serge is a wonderful, wonderful human being, as you will find out. And Liz is the glue that holds that family together. I'm sure of it.
Yep, and she keeps Serge in line with pots and pans and pineapples and whatever else she has access to.
What, she knocked out a tooth, broke his thumb. There's a lot of violence in that household.
Yeah, there is.
It's so funny. I loved Caitlin. One of their daughters posted a picture on Instagram the other day with a collection of crutches. And she said, basically sums up my family. That was so funny.
I think there's like 3 more things that we should mention before the podcast starts.
About the Bouyssous?
Yeah, the first one is they have fostered like 50 children, which I don't know that we'll ever have another guest on the show that has housed that many kids.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Amazing.
The other thing is they came into our life because they are Stella's judo coaches. And
surrogate family.
Correct. She now lives in their home with them. So it's a good thing that they're good people.
It is a good thing that they're good people. Or they might find themselves to be dead people.
Well, nobody would find them.
Okay, on that lovely, happy note, we hope you really enjoyed this conversation with Liz and Serge. And we hope you can also hear the love that we have in our voices that comes straight from our heart. We so deeply appreciate everything they've done for our daughter and our family and the world at large. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. So, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming to visit, too.
We're so happy to be here.
You should have heard all the ways that Travis and I were telling people who we had coming to town.
I said future in-laws, and then
people would choke on their food and like spit coffee across the room.
And I was asking for time off, which is weird because I'm the boss.
Right.
But then they were like, who's getting married? I'm like, well, no one's actually getting married. That was kind of a joke. But then I was like, oh.
It might not be a
It
joke.
might not actually be. Oh, wait a minute. But it might not actually be a joke.
At least Sergie's not here, because if he would have been here, I'd been like, that little shit better not have a conversation with me.
Yeah.
Sergie's precious.
It doesn't matter. He likes him as much as any man could like a boy.
This is true.
Another father can understand that.
This is true.
Like-
This is true.
He likes Sergie as much as any man could like a boy dating his daughter.
It's true.
Yep.
There will always be a sense of
Right? Step one wrong move.
One wrong move.
another
wrong
one
word.
for the checklist.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, like I kind of prepped you guys, the whole point of the Growing Girls podcast is to let the world know, the world of parenting, all those poor, unfortunate souls out there, that none of us really know what we're doing. But together, we could piece
Right.
together little pearls of information that, and pearls of experience and wisdom that we might help someone out, resonate with someone. I think, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, even if it's just maybe commiserate, really, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, even if you don't give them anything where they're like, yeah, I can do it now, they can at least be like, I'm not that bad.
Or
Right.
I'm not alone.
Well,
Or
one
I'm
of
not
the
just
biggest
alone.
things I see, especially with moms, but dads too, is that they don't feel like they're good enough. They don't think they're adequate. And they're not doing a good enough job. And what if they mess up? And oh my goodness. Like, I see that all the time. Like owning a dojo yourselves, you how many parents do you talk to that are just like, I don't know what to do. I'm not good enough. I couldn't.
And then the flip side to that is that those parents are probably actually doing a pretty decent job.
Oh yeah, it's
And
the
then
ones that think they're doing stellar.
And then you're just
Right.
like, could I actually have you step into this room? I'm going to lock you in here.
Right.
That
away
was
from
Your
your
child is a demon.
That was actually part of the impetus for the podcast, really, because we would get parents all the time that are they're always asking for things that are far outside of the martial art that you're teaching their kids,
Yeah.
Yes.
right? Like
Yeah.
help with school, or we're having this problem at home, or and so that's when, and then they also have this weird thing where they look at you as the coach and they're like, oh, well, you must know what you're doing. Because look, you're
100%.
teaching all these kids, and my kid respects you. Like, my kid listens to you, so you must be doing something right. And it's like, my kids don't respect me. My kids don't listen to me. Like, when they were in my class, they were my worst students. So there's just something about not being the parent.
We can relate to that, I'd say. And I've definitely learned that it absolutely takes a village to raise a child. And if you have more than one child, it takes the village plus.
The village plus.
Yeah, I tell you, that's great about the dojo environment too. That they see and they learn from the other kids that are also getting discipline, and there's a lot to gain from being in a dojo with your child every day.
I can't encourage it enough for parents to join in if they feel like it's a sport that they can be their own individual in the sport and let their child have their own space. And then it just gives so much more to the family to talk about and do. And it's a really great thing to see. But
So you guys have raised a couple of kids.
just a couple.
Just a few, right?
Yeah, what is the number up to exactly?
Well,
Don't include the kids at the gym, because if we include those, it's in the thousands. But
children that have actually come to live with us for anything more than like 3 months is 50.
50. That's a lot.
50 is the number.
And what about the ones that lived with you for 18 years? Or in Serge's case, was he 25?
Yeah, and this is our daughter's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Hey, he's not going to hear this for like 3 more months. So any
Well,
chance we
maybe
get.
he'll have his own house by then.
Maybe.
Probably
I
not.
hope
Probably
not. I hope
I
not.
His
I'll keep
idea is that he's staying in his apartment and saving every nickel he can until he can pay for a house outright.
Yeah. Well,
Smart.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
no complaints.
He doesn't want to have a mortgage. He has all these ideas, so I'll let you guys know. And he says, listen, if I'm going to marry Stella, my biggest goal...
Hold on, I have to throw up.
Hold on.
Do that one more time. Sorry.
Deep breaths.
Just breathe deeply.
Deep breaths.
Okay.
How many beers did you bring?
Not enough.
Chap, just go right to whatever that is over there. Hey, so he says to me, Dad, I think I'm going to stay here for at least 5 more years because I want to be able to provide Stella everything she needs in her competitive career, and I want to be able to afford to buy a house, but I want to pay for it up front so I don't have a mortgage, so that she can follow whatever dreams she has toward going to judo. And I thought he was an alien at first.
Well, that's 2 whole
I thought that
commitments
was
in
really
one.
Yeah.
That's
admirable for someone to say, like, let's face it, that kid could be making an Olympic run. And unless you've ever seen the magic that kid can make on a mat, it's unbelievable. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. My dream is to support someone else in that dream.
And cook for them and buy a house for them and
Yeah, it's not your normal. So, and with that being said, he can live with me for as long as he needs to make that.
all right.
Well, he's pretty
I'm in
easy to
total
live
agreement.
with.
yeah.
Yeah,
he
he's-
cooks. He doesn't clean,
No.
but that's all right.
No, he does not.
Can't
clean.
be perfect.
He does not clean.
By the way, Stella sent me a picture the other night. She made dinner for her brother and her brother's girlfriend and their roommates and everything. Made this big dinner. She sent the picture and she was so proud of herself. And then she called me and she said, by the way, don't tell Serge I can actually cook.
Right?
Well, now he's going to
That's
know.
funny.
3 months from now. 3 months from now.
That is funny.
He makes her breakfast every day, and whatever she wants every day. He's so happy to do that.
She called me the other day because she couldn't remember how to thaw out chicken. She was like, yeah, I haven't done this in a while because Serge does all my meal prep. It's like,
Spoiled.
alien
That's
child of yours. Okay, so
hilarious.
back. You've got 4 biological children.
Yes.
4 adopted.
Adopted.
Which means they don't. Well, we didn't go through an official adoption process.
It's called meet and keep.
Oh,
Right.
Speaking of your adopted children, is Barry one of them?
Yes.
Okay.
But
so
not
somebody
Billy.
gave him my phone number.
Ooh.
it's probably Stella.
So you talk to him once a week, maybe?
He actually
Or he pesters you once a week, should I say?
I'm just gonna get my phone out right now because he actually texted me yesterday. He's like, we're best friends. I mean, he thinks we are.
And you love it.
I don't mind it because he's funny.
Oh my gosh, he's so funny.
He really is.
Let me find Barry in here. I don't think I have him under Barry. In fact, I know I don't. I didn't even put him in my phone.
Put him in under
Every
crazy
time he
person.
It's this 401 number. He's like, on my way to Montana. I'm like,
Be careful because
and then he goes, I don't sleep on anything less than 1,000 thread count. I'm like, okay. Good luck finding a hotel.
You better go to the closest Hilton, buddy.
he's a special character.
So what are you doing?
Someone said to me the other day, they were at my house visiting. They'd never visited our house. It was their first time at our house, and Barry came in. He went to the barn to get something. I forgot. What was he getting? The rototiller. He was getting the rototiller. And he started coming across the yard, and they were talking about all our kids. I said, "Oh, this is the first kid we ever took in. I just want to warn you."
I'm surprised they let you have any more kids after Barry.
We kind of screwed this one up.
It was brave, actually. It was a brave thing to do. Caitlin was 1.5, and Serge was about 6 months old. And it was, I like to share just this little piece of that we really just had to let love lead the way with that.
Yeah.
We were.
You were what?
I was 21, and you were 23.
Yeah. And we had this 10-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of explains a lot. It was the first kid we took in. I never felt so good in my life.
Really?
Really.
What made you decide to start fostering and adopting kids?
It's not something we planned on or even really wanted.
Well, just to say briefly, I was a foster child myself. When you meet a child and that circumstance is in front of you, it's a moment of just of truth, really, about who are you and where have you come from, and to see,
it's a moment of opportunity,
right? Because you yourself can share so much through your pain, and I believe that as human beings, that's what we're meant to do. We're meant to learn from the pain that we go through and lift one another up, and that's part of that being that village, so that you get little treasures throughout the community of what people can offer through what they've learned. And so yes, Barry was 10, and he had a twin brother, actually, too, who came with us for a while. But
we got to meet Billy, too.
Yes.
We met them both.
Oh,
yeah.
They're a
That was
special
a rare
combination
opportunity.
together.
Yeah, Barry and Billy aren't always together often, but when they are together, it's very heartwarming to see them together.
It's like the cartoon Heckle and Jekyll.
Yeah. They love each other to pieces, but
Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Oh, yeah.
They don't always see eye to eye on things, They're being twins, they're opposite in a lot of ways.
Going back to that too, I think that one of the things that even parents need to understand is that we tend to bring ourselves forward into our parenting in the way of our pain in our lives can really dictate a lot about what we do with our children, and sometimes we allow that pain to enable our children so that they don't have to go through pain. But one of the things that we have to understand when we're parenting is that how we bring our pain forward into our parenting and into any relationship that you ever have is really important. So you can take that pain that you went through in life and make it a really positive thing and bring that forward in a positive way to your children, or you can bring your pain forward and shelter your children so much so that they can never derive benefit from the pain that you went through. In fact, it can be a defeating thing.
Like an overprotective.
Yeah, overprotection and even a misguidance at times. So it's really important. Everybody goes through pain. We all have scars through life, right? And how
Not me. I've never experienced any pain.
No, I can see that about you.
That's why his face is stiff.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's just really important that we understand that we need to be flexible when we're raising kids, and how we bring our pain forward is important, and we use that pain as an opportunity to help those kids grow. And if you're fostering children, whoever decides to foster children, it's a wonderful thing. But if you go forward with something like that with the wrong mindset, if you think it's going to be like peaches and cream and this child is always going to be thankful and loving, and it's something like
you can't have expectations.
Yeah,
you have to really, again,
you have to understand it's going to be a lot of work and
absolutely.
a lot of,
Which is true for children that are biological or fostered or
yes,
kids on the mat.
Here's the thing with your own child, and this is something that God gives you. He gives you a short memory. It's true. So you have these kids, and they have acting out. They'll act out on the things they've been through. There's always going to be something stupid that happens, and always something stupid happens with our own children, right? They will do dumb stuff. They just will. But with those kids, you don't have a short memory span. You expect them to be the ideal children because you're giving them this opportunity. And then when they fail, you're like, I can't believe this kid didn't do that. Aren't they thankful of the situation that they're given? And this is the way the young Serge and the young Liz thought before our brains worked properly. You have to go forward in something like that and just keep love forward all the time. Otherwise, you're going to fail at being a foster parent. When people come and tell me, oh, I want to raise children just like you, it would be so magical to do something like that. I'm like, don't ever take in a foster child. Don't ever do it. You're delusional. It's not the way it is. It's not like something magical. Maybe you look back at it at the end and say, wow, that was magical. But in those moments,
it's really got to be something
when they're burning your house down, it's not exactly
You've
magical.
In it for the long haul, through the thick and the thin, and the highs and the lows, because and it's not always told to you what they come with, and we know that as parents as well, and as coaches and teachers, that a lot of times we're dealing with behaviors and situations that we may never even know of. We're only dealing with the what comes forward and the not the end results, but what the child is able to express. So if you're not leading with love and patience and without expectation, then you're kind of setting yourself up for and the child for not a dead end, but
some serious turbulence.
Yeah, right. It's like a false security. Just like you were saying, thinking that everything is going to be roses, and it's just, we all know that that's not a real way to look at life.
When Liz adopted me,
back in 1992,
she had no expectations.
In 1992,
you win.
She thought she was in for a bed of roses.
You had
she
to see
found
his
out.
mullet. He had a beautiful
You had a
mullet.
mullet?
It was amazing.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Who didn't
Wait,
have a
hold
mullet?
on. There's a lot.
I never had a
There's a
mullet.
lot to unpack in that statement you just made.
Travis.
I had a ducktail.
You should have seen his
I
mullet.
had a ducktail too.
He had a beautiful mullet. We just learned a lot about Liz in that sense.
Joe,
I'm an
I
80s
was.
chick.
I
What
had
can I
the,
say?
I had the absolute Joe Dirt going.
I'm gonna have to see pictures of this later. In fact, forget the picture you just took of the two of them.
We'll just use the mullet.
Yeah, we'll just
Oh,
use
that'll
the
be
mullet.
great.
That's
That'll be
not
good.
going to happen.
You can see the back of it too.
Do you know Travis used to have hair down to his waist?
Yeah, of course. See that?
Now that I'd want to see as well.
And it was like a strawberry blonde. In fact, his
We have those photos still.
senior picture I've only seen once because I think somebody hid it away. Your mom swears that she has it.
You've only seen it once because you were so turned on by it, we hid it. We had to hide it from her.
Oh my God.
I couldn't get her out of the bathroom.
One
as
of his
soon as she saw
senior
that
pictures, he's got his shirt off. He's standing
photo.
in like
She just said enough right there.
a window of like a barn or something. And he's got his long, luxurious strawberry blonde hair all the way down, like both sides of his shoulders. And then he's got a snake around his
Because that's what you needed right then.
Hey,
What kind of snake was that?
that was a boa constrictor.
I was going to say, if it wasn't a
So
boa, I'm
hot.
going to be disappointed.
So hot.
Hey, you lucked out.
Whatever it took.
Yeah.
She hit the lottery.
I did hit the
Yeah.
lottery.
Liz definitely
Well, we
hit
think
the
you're
lottery.
wonderful.
Well, yeah,
Both
for
of you.
sure she did.
Yeah.
So, at what point did you open the dojo in your marriage and your parenthood?
Well, my husband used to.
I never even wanted to be a coach.
No, this was totally something that just happened. So I was home with the small children, and guys got to go out, and he's never been one to like go out and do all kinds of crazy things. Not once we were married, anyway. But he and his buddies would get together once a week on Fridays, and they would go do their
We'd punch each other.
fight club thing. I call the fight club thing. And I'd take the babies for a walk. I'd stroll by. Hey, how you guys doing?
We'd
I'd be like,
basically
okay,
punch
I'm
our
leaving
faces
now.
in
That
each
was
other's
enough for
faces
me.
in every Friday night.
Babies shouldn't be seeing this. They'll be copying them. Let's go. I'd stroll myself and then the kids back home. But
that was
1990. It was.
we opened up the club officially in 1994, so that was probably like 1993.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yep.
sounds a lot like how you started
I didn't
Friday
want.
night fight clubs.
I did not want to be a coach. I just wanted to punch people's faces in and maybe get mine punched in
Just
a little
your-
bit too.
mostly
I
your
actually,
friends.
right. Me and
That's
my
what friends do.
That's what friends are for.
I mean, I haven't met anyone who was like, yeah, I got into it because I wanted to be a coach. I don't think it goes that way. I think you get into it to participate, and then you participate enough, and then eventually you're just like, oh, I'm running the class now.
Well, I had to coach some people because I needed people to fight with.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't coach anybody, because MMA wasn't a thing then, and then we had some judo and we had wrestling, but it really wasn't. Didn't meet the aggression levels that I probably needed to exercise out of myself.
At the age of 20, 21.
Yeah, 22, 21, 22, 23, 35.
46.
Hey, I'm 50 this year. I'm already 50.
That's old.
Oh, wow.
I'm getting old, and it's not gone yet. But,
I'll be 29 on Sunday
right,
I can't wait.
again.
Mm-hmm.
right. Hey, listen, I'm like 13.
I can't wait. I can't
like
wait to be
your-
29 again.
Is this your 18th, 29th birthday?
It is the 19th anniversary of the 18th anniversary of my 29th birthday.
Nice.
Do the math.
I think we lost
right.
track.
So
I think we actually all went ADHD for
after
a
a
minute
while,
Lost what we were saying.
at Mayo Quanchi, we started. I'd walk down, and again, still a couple of years later, the kids were bigger, and I had a friend of mine that I had been friends with since high school, Carrie. She's like, I think I want to do this too.
That's how we know he's 50.
And right when
His
he's got
phone's super loud, and he forgot to turn it off.
I
just
thought I turned it off.
You didn't notice it beeping like the other 4 times?
No, I told
he's
you.
in the zone.
My ears
You
ring
want
so
to talk?
bad.
You want to talk fight stuff?
All right, so-
he's
Yeah.
all here.
So we started the
So-
club, and it was not a judo or a wrestling club. I never wanted to coach wrestling either. And then, so we would work out, and we went from like 1 day a week to 2 days a week. Next thing you know, we were in there 4 days a week. And the funny thing is, I actually got into how I got my first student was I got into a fist fight on a golf course with a couple of guys that were about I'm not kidding. They were about
3 times his size.
They're about 6'5", 6'6",
No exaggeration.
and they were real bullies.
We're still friends with them.
And yeah, we're still friends with them to this day. And I was on the golf course with my father-in-law, and they kind of forced their way into playing golf with us because they were shooting golf balls at us while we were golfing.
Faux pas.
Yeah. So my blood was boiling, and I told my father-in-law, I'm like,
You're so patient, though.
yeah.
Well, I'm just glad my dad was there.
Well, so I told my father-in-law, I'm like, I'm not taking this from these guys. Like, they're going to get it right now. And my father-in-law got really nervous. He's like, oh my God, did you see the size of those guys? You can't say anything. Just whatever. They can play in with us. I was like, Tom, don't be scared. What's going to happen? Like, they're going to beat me up, or I'm going to beat them up. Like, relax. You don't have to do anything. So we went through the whole... I finally caved into him and let these guys play in with us. And it was like going to school with the two biggest bullies and being stuck with them for 9 holes of golf. I was fit to be tied by the end, and it wasn't even the end. It was the 9th hole, and it was near the golf house. And I said to my father-in-law, I said, Tommy, you may want to go in the golf house right now, because I'm not taking one more hole of these guys running their mouth and saying stuff to us and every other thing. So he goes, you can't do that. I said, just go over there. When stuff happens, just go in the, what do they call that? What's the
clubhouse?
Yeah, the clubhouse. Just run in the clubhouse. Nobody's going to let anything happen to you. So the guy says to me, what's he doing? We got to hurry up here. I said, listen, I want to tell you something. You are one of the most ignorant people I've ever seen in my life. And one of these days, you're going to meet somebody that's going to beat the shit out of you. And you're never going to expect it. And he said, well, it's not going to be you, because I shit bigger than you.
I was wondering if you were going to say it. I was just waiting. Is he going to say it? Yep, he said it.
Yeah.
And then?
He went to the emergency room.
And then he came back to be a student.
To be a student?
Yes. And then his brother tried to get me from behind, and he followed suit. That didn't last very long. It wasn't anything.
And so what was at that point, your official kind of training methodology or your fight methodology was just Fight Club, fuck them up as needed?
No, I just didn't like bullies. I still don't like bullies. I really don't like bullies at all. Like, that's not why we try to empower people. We try to make people stronger and do the things they do so that they can't. Now, he saw me as a 5'6" guy, and my father-in-law as an older man. Those guys looked at us like
they could push you around.
Yeah, they could push us around, and guarantee they did that to people every day of their life. So I feel like I did the world a favor by putting 2 bullies in check. It was as simple as that. And so my philosophy then was make sure they never do that to anybody else. And that was done. And the funny thing was, the guy has, I guess, notoriously had been in a lot of fights in the area. And when he told people whatever about me, he ended up, like, 2 weeks later showing up at my club to work out with us. And then he wanted me to teach his nephews. And they really changed a lot. I mean, the nephews, they still write to me to this day. There's they like...
Yeah, they're really pretty much like family.
And they would come to live at our house at weekends. The father of those boys was a great guy, but he worked 3 jobs. Literally worked 3 jobs to make ends meet, to provide his family what he wanted.
It ended up being really 3 generations nowadays of
And
this family that is coming to
really
now. So it was the parents, and then the kids, and now their kids.
And they are the reason we actually met Barry.
That's right, because their son was good friends with Barry, and he just started bringing him around, and so getting on to what you were asking earlier, so he had this group of people, and the numbers just started to grow out of people that he knew, And then my friend Carrie and I started coming, and then just more and more people started to come. It was just very casual, and
there was no plan.
yeah, there was no plan.
It's kind of like parenting, right? It's not really a plan.
It just
They just kept coming.
Well,
One Friday night.
I'll never forget when DCYF showed up to pick up Barry out of a practice, and we basically did not have it happened multiple times where DCYF would show up.
What's DCYF?
Department of Children, Youth, and Families.
Mm-hmm. They would come into the dojo.
They'd show up to confiscate a child.
And I it makes me wonder, is this a method? Do they usually come to like children's activities? Because if you think about that, it's pretty devastating. And one of the times that they showed up with police with
how embarrassing
with our
for that
Sandra.
child, and
Well,
or traumatic.
Exactly.
Traumatic.
Maybe
So
not
like,
embarrassing,
like
but
they're
traumatic.
not going through enough at home, and then they have the police show up.
That's
So
that's
it's-
multiple times that's happened, and then we're sitting there with you're running a class. All of a sudden, a Department of Children, Youth, and Families representative shows up with the police at your class to take a child away, and then you're like, "Ho, wait a minute, what's happening here?"
And they
So-
would remove the children because there's abuse in the home or neglect in the home. So in their minds, they
It
would,
has to be something.
Intervention had to happen
It
immediately.
has to be something pretty drastic for them to do that, though. And in fairness to them, it's drastic when that's happening. So, I mean, we're sitting there running a class, and then you have a split second to decide, do I want to take this child into my home?
At the time, my husband was working for Tides Family Services, which
No,
wonderful.
I was not.
Not yet.
Not with Barry.
Okay. Well, it was not long after. So we had known this facility that Barry had been going to for counseling, and so many kids. I think everybody needs counseling, really.
for sure.
All of these kids need someone to talk to, and sometimes, again, it goes back to the village. Someone needs to be there. But that is. They asked if he could come to. That's how he started going, between meeting his friend, who we knew, and then. Anyway, I don't want to get too far off subject. So anyway, go ahead.
You can. This is a free flow environment.
Yeah.
You can talk about anything
Okay.
you want.
All right, there we go. Okay.
She got nervous because you forgot what she was saying.
No. Well, I
We
just
forgot where
don't.
we're
I
going.
just don't want to get too
You
far.
can't blow
off.
it. Don't worry
No,
about
I
it.
don't want. I don't just don't want to get too off track.
I don't think. I think this story. People listen to this, and then everybody's
Yeah.
going to be enthralled by the story.
The
so-
bottom line, right there, the point I was trying to make is it was all because of their relationship. Those two boys had a relationship, and then we developed the relationship with Barry as their coach. And then when the authorities came in and saw that he was comfortable enough, they were like, well, where are you taking him? Where is he going to go? And we were like, you can't take him, or you can't just give him to some. They were like, well, we don't know, probably house to house.
He was
going to
go to a night to night.
Yeah, and we were like, well, wait, what can we do here? Because we see this child a few times a week. I mean, and so he was clearly comfortable with us. And
Well, as we developed a relationship, and I was working after a while. I was working with Tides Family Services a year or two later, and I was working with DCYF on a lot of different kids and cases and things like that through Brother Michael. It was a lot easier for us, and we knew that a lot of the local police officers. So we were known as people in the community that were really trying to help kids. Right, because we would get these kids, and sometimes they were a problem. Like the police knew them well.
Right.
So at one point, we had a family court judge that would sentence children to
I always
working out
loved
at
that.
Mayo Quanchi.
We had that a couple of times at SBG too.
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Yeah,
Judge Jeremiah.
that was his name.
Yeah, that was his name.
His first
Family
name was
court
Jeremiah,
judge.
and his last name was
Yeah.
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah.
No, I'm sorry. I can't help it every time I hear that.
You get a chance to pick a song later.
Okay.
So that was always interesting. A lot of those kids would come in and be very spiteful at the very beginning, and then so
Then they realize, wait, these people actually care about me. They're
Yeah.
not like some
And
of
I
those
get to
phony
do
people.
cool shit.
and right, and I get to take my frustration out.
Right.
And they love snacks too. They're like, you have snacks?
Oh yeah. Listen, not that long ago, we had a group of kids over at the house, and they're from
The inner city.
yeah, they're part of the Beat the Streets program, and so they were staying over our house because we had to leave really early for a tournament in the morning. So we have these kids, it has a handful of them, maybe like 6 of them, and Liz told them, well, here's all the snacks, and you guys can have as much as you want. They were literally like sneaking in there and filling their pockets. And I said to one of the kids, I said, you know you can go back in that closet as many times you want. And he just looked at me with wide eyes. I said, you don't have to fill your pockets. There's like 20 snack bars in their pockets. I'm
Hey,
like,
he likes variety.
yeah, right. I'm like, you know, you can't steal anything that we're gonna give to you. You don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. You can go in the refrigerator, eat whatever you want. He goes, really? I said, absolutely. What do you want? Just go get it. Don't fill your pocket. Just eat until you want to explode, if that's what you want to do, and leave some for somebody else too.
Well, sadly, a lot of these kids, as we know, are impoverished. And so to be freely given something, a lot of times they just don't know how. I find a lot of times they're quiet. They don't know what to say. You know, when you want to just share something like snacks.
Yeah.
It's a big thing.
That's
Just
a
a
huge
simple snack.
A simple snack, a granola bar.
Yeah.
That's not something they're getting every day. Trust me when I tell you. I had one kid years ago. I'm not going to say his name, but you'll know who it is. We would give him money because there was no food at home. When he got home, the mother or the mother's pimp, or whatever you want to call him, would take his money.
That was so maddening. Ugh.
So then I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to give him any money anymore. I gave him food cards, like go to Al Max or what was it, Stop and Shop.
Stop and Shop, yeah.
Stop and Shop gift cards to the grocery store. So I'd give them $100 gift card, and they'd take that. They'd take $100 gift card and sell it for $20. I was like, okay, that's not going to work. So I just took him shopping.
The parents would take them and buy cigarettes with them. Thankfully, they don't sell cigarettes there anymore. But
I'd take him shopping, and then they'd come in, and he'd put the food in the refrigerator. They'd eat it all. So then I started getting non-perishable food that he could hide in his room. And that ended up working out all right.
But
What
what a thing that is, though,
Yeah.
right, to have to.
What a tough situation to go home to every day.
Yeah.
And that's the safest place for you to be.
That same
They don't want to go home.
that same person, I'd go to pick him up, and there'd be no lights on, and then he came outside with a bunch of times. He's freezing. He's chattering. His teeth are chattering by the time he gets in the car. I'm like, why is there never any lights on in your house? He's like, oh, Sensei, we don't have any electricity. We don't have any heat or electricity. I'm like, oh my goodness.
3 months. 3 months, one of them.
So I spoke to the mother. I said, what do we got to do
It was
to get
like
your
March.
electricity on? And stupid me doesn't learn my lessons. I said, how much is your bill to get the electricity and the heat back on? She said, $480 or something like that. So I give her the $480 and said, make sure you go put on your heat and electricity, like today. The next week I came to pick him up, no heat or electricity.
Yeah, you learn the hard way sometimes. But
I said, what is happening here? Finally, I ended up going down to just pay the bill myself. And then he had heat and electricity. And that was a short period of time that happened.
But these acts, though, years later, no, these young men are, in their late 20s, some of them.
They're actually pillars of the
or
community
older.
right now.
Yeah. And when you can come forward and be able to, and we've had people support us with these things over the years too, because not everybody has $500 to just be like, oh, I'm going to pay your, you know, especially, you know, having a family of our own.
We didn't have $500 at that time either.
Yeah. So we had, and then again, it comes back to community, where, you know, hey, can you help us help this kid? They really just need a little extra love and attention, and these kids don't forget. They do not forget. These roads that they're walking on beat them, and sometimes, and I think it makes a deeper impression in their minds and in their spirits of where they've come from. They don't forget. You know, I think sometimes we may tend to take things for granted as being some kids are just more privileged, and so sometimes, and I'm sure you folks see it too, where sometimes you have a clash of those personalities in the club, and kids don't understand why. Oh, well, why is he taking all the granola bars? It's like, don't worry, I'll get more. Oh, okay, all right, you can have some too, don't worry, you. And so it really is a learning experience for all of us. I know I could just go on and on, but
No, we
So
should write a book.
how do you think, I mean, obviously we're all, right, we all drank the Kool-Aid. We all think that some form of martial arts is better than not.
Absolutely.
We, of course, think jiu-jitsu is better than judo,
You probably would think that.
don't we?
Well, I mean, it's true.
Yeah. So it's fine.
You can do it when you're old because you're not crippled.
Well, that's you know, you've got me sold on that one.
What is the difference between judo and jiu-jitsu?
We can throw people, but we also know how to fight on the ground. That would
We
be
know how to fight on the ground.
well. We can do it well.
Stella told
You have to be able to get people there.
Stella told Serge not to bring his gi.
Not to bring his gi?
Yeah.
Why?
I think she's witnessed his exhaustion.
She's like,
I got to stand up for you on that one.
he's almost 50.
So Sergie's your last kid at home.
That's an
No,
adult.
that's not true.
That's
You
an
have two
adult.
younger.
Gabrielle and
Princess or Queen.
Yes, you know
Queen
what,
Celine, yeah.
Queen
Selena
Celine.
the
Queen.
Queenie.
And Anastasia, her fellow princess.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, Queen.
But,
So,
but you have two that are married with kids.
No, they have no grandchildren.
No grandkids yet?
Well,
Barry has children.
oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Barry has. We didn't get to meet Barry's kids.
No.
Barry,
So he has stepchildren,
Okay.
and he has a son, but he moved to
and a daughter.
he moved down south. Yep, and he has a daughter as well. But you know, again, it's hard moving forward in life and with relationships with people. You know, and when you're a young person who has come through a fostering system and had a rough beginning, you don't always have the relationship skills that you need when you're having
Your own
relations
yeah.
with someone and you have a child. So he still sees them, but he would have wanted more, you know. But we're all living and learning as we go. But they're beautiful.
Going back to what you were starting to talk about with you guys, I just want to be clear that everybody that's sitting at this table has ADHD.
Yes.
As we go on.
You call it ADHD. I call it multitasking.
Okay.
I
In the
call
brain.
it's
You
my
mul-
superpower. I'm sorry.
You multitasked in a totally different direction. You started talking about
The martial
something
arts.
about the martial arts and how they maybe help children is what I was
Yeah.
thinking that you
Absolutely.
were going to say before you took a left and started into the judo jiu-jitsu. I mean, it's fine. Jiu-jitsu is the retarded little brother of judo. we're gonna
He said the R word.
in all actuality, all joking aside, I love jiu-jitsu and I love judo very much, and I've done a lot of both of them. My passion is judo just because of the Olympics, and it gives kind of a direction for these kids, like to have that dream of Olympics. But as
And
for
your club does wrestling too. Has it
we
always
do,
been
yeah, we do
judo
wrestling.
and wrestling?
No, I
Wrestling was first or judo was first?
didn't. Judo was first.
We kind of started.
The only
wrestling
reason why I
because of
started
Barry, really.
wrestling, no. The only reason why I started wrestling was because I wanted to put my kids in wrestling because it's in the schools, and there's a lot of opportunity scholastically for wrestling. So I started out with having my kids go to other wrestling clubs because I did not want to coach wrestling either. I didn't want to coach any of them, first of all. And now we're doing more jiu-jitsu. I didn't want to coach that either. Anyway.
Tick, 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 tick. It's coming.
So
We'll see.
I'm going to go back. I'm going to go ADHD and go back to
Do you remember what we were talking about?
Yes, I do. I still remember. I still remember what we were talking about. So I want to go back to why martial arts is so fantastic for children. And it has something, it's not what you get from other team sports. And I don't care if it's judo, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. And that is, you are 100% responsible for your own actions. It's only you and one other person out there. You cannot blame where you've gone wrong on 10 other people around you. It's not a team sport. It is an individual sport that forces you to take accountability for everything that you do in every way that you train. There's no pointing fingers. That's why I love martial arts. I'm not all of them, but judo, jiu-jitsu, and wrestling, I am totally in love with. It's a structured environment. It's a family environment. It is holding these kids accountable. They'll only get out what they put in and nothing more. They will, like, I've seen the best athletes fail because they lacked the character to do what they need to do, and they learned that they need to have some character development in order to move forward. It's given them great life lessons that you're never going to get anywhere else. When you lose in soccer, I guarantee you don't feel like someone just beat the shit out of you, because when you lose in judo or jiu-jitsu or wrestling, someone literally just beat the shit out of you. There's value to that.
There is.
There's nothing more humbling. There's nothing more, I don't want to say humiliating, but it can be. It can be. You can be humiliated at times, and it feels like not good in the moment, but you talk to all the old judo players and jiu-jitsu players and wrestlers, that's going to be some of the fondest memories that they ever have throughout their life. It's very sobering. And the amount of aggression that these kids can get out, they got that aggression in them. Especially these foster kids and stuff that we've taken in, they've got a lot of anger and aggression inside them. What better place to take it out in than a structured environment where they're safe? Because let me tell you something, that aggression is coming out
Somewhere,
somehow. So you could have it in an uncontrolled environment, in school, in the mall, in the wherever, or you can have it in a structured and safe environment where they're able to guide their aggression and learn to work on their emotional instabilities inside a mat where it's absolutely triggering those things constantly.
Well, and I think a lot of times too, parents are surprised when something like that happens. Oh, like, little Johnny or little Sally would never fight in school. I can't believe this, honey. It couldn't have been your fault. You didn't start that, did you? And then that goes back
that's a
to
whole,
the,
that's a whole nother,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's a whole nother avenue of difficulty, is when you have a parent that's in denial of their child being a little bastard.
I had the flip happen. What was that, a couple months ago? One of my little guys got in trouble at school for punching somebody in the face.
Oh.
And so his parents came in to, like, can you talk to him? You know, and I said, well, tell me the whole scenario. We go through everything. And I was like, so I know your child well enough to know that he doesn't just punch kids for no reason. He punches kids and kicks kids and tackles kids and does all the things that he gets in trouble for here when he's provoked. or if somebody frustrates him or he doesn't know how to express himself. I said, that kid probably deserved it. So,
Did the shoulders go down on the parent like, oh no?
yeah, they
What do
were
you
like,
mean he deserved it?
I was like, yeah, your child is now, the bully proofer. He's the enforcer on that playground.
Well, and
Sorry.
again, you just made a very good point there. So this child comes to your class.
Yeah,
And the child's not going to stand for it.
absolutely not.
So who should, right?
And how great, too, to see. I mean, I felt very fortunate in that position that I could help them see their child in a different light with a different lens. They're always used to their kid getting in trouble. But I see him, he's trying to control himself. He's trying to do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
He just, every once in a while, it bleeds out, his energy, his frustration, so it takes a village.
Amen.
And
So-
some people need to get punched in the face.
Some people do need, and even
Sometimes-
children need to get punched in the face.
100%.
I mean, maybe not always by us, but
100%.
No.
maybe by other children.
Yeah, that's it.
Sometimes I
Work
need
it
to be
out.
punched in the face.
Wow.
Why did he look at me?
For protection, maybe.
Oh.
So, Barry started with you
Yes.
training.
Yeah.
Does he still train?
No.
Sandra, did she train before you adopted her?
No.
No.
But now she does.
Yeah, and she has her own club.
she has her own club, and they're jiu-jitsu and
Judo.
judo, but not wrestling.
Correct.
Right.
Elevate.
Barry went into the military, and then he
Oh,
works
that's
at
right.
General Dynamics. So he
was Air Force, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so he works so many hours
They
a
keep him
week
busy.
that there's no way he could.
yeah.
He does not have the time of day to train.
And-
It's just not in his cards.
Doesn't Billy, his twin brother, also work at General Dynamics?
Up
Not
until
anymore.
recently.
Billy he works at Newport News now.
Okay.
I guess he got about a $60,000 a year raise by going to Newport News. So,
Oh. So it wasn't a hard decision.
Right.
no. But Billy texts me all the time too. It's usually some kind of craziness.
So I'm not alone.
I'm giving
No,
that was
when I
Billy.
get back, I'm giving Billy Travis's
So now
number.
you'll have Billy's number and Barry's number.
Great.
Watch
Yeah.
out.
That's just what I need.
Tag
Heckle and
teaming.
Jekyll.
And then obviously Serge trains. Or
Yeah.
I guess Caitlin's older than Serge.
Caitlin's older
Right.
than
And Caitlin's really on the competition track. She's on
Yeah.
She
she's
just
shooting
won
for the
Pan-
Olympics.
She just won Pan Am's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
So
won a lot of.
spectacular.
We think so too.
She just won. No, she just won the Pan American Open
Ecuador.
in Ecuador. That's what she won.
And
last
now
Okay.
she's preparing for Worlds now.
She took third at Pan Am's,
Okay.
which she can definitely have beat that girl at Pan Am's too. But
She's preparing for Worlds now,
Correct.
yes,
which is this summer. Stella was just telling me that they're going to
Bad
be like
coach.
ships passing in the night. Like they're not going to be able to see each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With COVID and everything, that all the dates are all piled up, and
the IJF is doing a terrible job in my mind of having continuity in.
Shout out to the IJF.
Yeah, yeah, it's terrible. We're having a Worlds. We're not having a Worlds. Listen, decide. These
Yeah.
kids' lives are. These
Yeah.
kids'
Shoot or
lives
get
are
off the
all
pot.
hinging on it. It's literally hinging on
yeah,
it.
some of them practice their whole
If
lives.
you don't
for
have
moments like this.
there comes a time like I know it's a money making event for them, but they may have to have it in a country that's open.
Mm.
And
Like the United
stop
States?
thinking. I don't.
Aren't we open? Are we open? I mean, in Montana, we're open.
The IJF, if you knew how much they charge the host country to have
Oh,
one of these
really?
events, I don't know why anybody would host an event.
Makes no sense.
That's crazy. I had no idea.
They should
Oh,
be
yeah.
paying them.
Yeah.
Well, no, they don't pay. You have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars a lot of times to host an event from the IJF.
That's silly.
And we're not government sponsored, so
Right.
it would come right from USA Judo, which doesn't have the money.
Right.
What is it? 15,000 judo players in the whole United States.
Hmm.
Where are they going to get hundreds of thousands of dollars?
Right.
From Serge.
Right.
Well, the expense.
I
always
have
ends
to
up
tell you
being on
that
the competitor.
I the only thing that keeps me in judo is the true passion and love for the sport. It's not what you're going to ever get from the sport. It's truly not. Like, you are so much better off loving wrestling than you are to love judo or jiu-jitsu, for that matter.
Because there's more money in wrestling?
You get an education for free.
Yeah.
That's true.
Or at the very least, you get into a college that you'd never get into.
Yeah.
We know quite a few.
Yeah. I have kids right now, multiple kids that are going to college for free. And some of them are going to really good schools. Columbia. How's that? You don't find
And these
any...
are kids that, when they were younger, people would be like, oh, I don't know about that one. But,
I've had $1 for every time I said that.
You just never know. These kids, what
nephew
you instill in them with these martial arts and the hard work and the ethics, it goes so much further.
I think there's a lot to be said, too, for the consistency in training. I mean,
yeah.
2 or 3 days a week, year after year after year after year after year.
And I think that's why it's so important to get the parents on board, to be able to take them down an avenue that they can see that, there's real hope here. Just stick to your guns. And a lot of times, sometimes I don't feel like going to practice, but I always say to the kids when they come in, they drag in their bag and they're all, and I say, oh, you don't want to be here today, huh? And they're like, no. Well, I don't either. I've got things I want to do at home, but I bet you by the time we leave here tonight, we're both going to be smiling. And then, of course, at the end, you always got to give them a wink or a fist pump or something, but it is a beautiful thing.
Magical.
Parents on board, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. I saw you look at your clock over there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep you on track.
Okay, wait, we're still powering through the kids. So then, obviously, Serge trains, but he's now in the police academy.
Correct. So I know for the next 6 months.
6 months.
That's what he's doing.
Good for him. And then who's next?
Celine.
No,
well, Anastasia.
Anastasia. Does she train also?
Yes.
She does. We met her. She started out wrestling for Beat the Streets.
Ah, okay.
We
that's how
only
we
took
met
her
her.
in 2 years ago. She's number 50.
Okay.
And that's the last one.
That's what he says. We'll see.
Yeah, right.
We'll see.
No, I'm serious.
Right,
It's the last child. I didn't have any plan on taking in another kid.
Well, Stella's living at your house right now. So
51. Thank you.
She's 51.
Okay. There we go. I win again.
But I don't count those because I didn't count athletes.
Okay.
Okay.
Like, you just have to be. Stella doesn't count.
I want to back up from one moment to talk about the tenacity of Anastasia and some of these kids that come to us, because again, you never know who you're meeting.
She came to you 2 years ago, and so she is 16 now.
She's 17.
17. So she was 15.
So she was attending public school in Providence.
Okay.
And she came to us through she started going to Sedgwood High School, the school that our kids go to.
Okay.
But she found out about their career and tech program, and she started taking the city bus to the bus stop. Just all she had her mom fill out the paperwork, and she saw a way out, and she was going to take it. She was going to take it, and she loved wrestling. She still does. So, it just says a lot about these kids' dreams and goals. And even our own daughter, Caitlin, from a young age, she wanted to go to that place with the rings. And
That's what she told me.
My sister told me. I'm like, what is she talking about, the rings? And I'm thinking circus. And she's
She told
like,
me, Daddy, I'm going to win that tournament with the rings.
With the rings. The Olympics.
Yeah, hello,
Yeah.
Liz.
Of course.
Right? And so, but when these kids, some of these kids are just so driven from a very young age. And I think that sometimes we don't understand as parents that all of these kids are completely different.
They see the world
And
through their own eyes. Yeah.
And so, Anastasia's 17, and she's going to do great things. She really is. We're super proud of her. And then I don't know if you want to say anything else regarding that, but then Celine is next in line.
And
She's 16.
She trains judo or wrestling?
Anastasia trains a little bit of judo,
Okay.
but doesn't really compete. And trains
Mostly.
more wrestling.
Okay.
Correct.
Well, she hasn't. The only reason why she hasn't competed is because of COVID.
True.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
It hasn't allowed.
Everything's
It.
We've only had her for 2 years.
Right. In September will be 2 years. Yeah.
And then what about
been-
Celine?
So she does both.
Yeah, Celine does both. She wrestles and does judo. I really want her to do jiu-jitsu because Celine's had a bunch of broken bones training, and I think that jiu-jitsu would be so much more befitting to her.
Yeah.
A little bit softer of a style, and she's not getting crushed onto her side.
She's
and
like
back and
90
neck.
pounds.
Yeah, she's a teeny tiny thing.
Yeah, I just think it would be so much better for her. I mean,
Well, she's got an excellent jiu-jitsu coach there with
That's
Stella.
for sure. I
Yeah.
can't say enough about Stella. The
Oh my
children
gosh.
love her. And I actually went to a few of her classes, and I just wanted to watch her and be on the mat and engage with her with these kids, and she just has such a beautiful way with them. And when I had come in this past week when she wasn't there, I was kind of like, well, kids, Miss Sensei Stella's not here. Like I was like, like
she does a great job,
she's
especially with
amazing.
the feral kids.
She's very good with feral
I
children.
am going to learn a lot from her just with her mannerisms, and I, I'm very good with them too, but I run class completely different than she does. And so the first time I ever saw her run class, I was like, wow, she's dynamite.
She was supposed to be
She's-
covering my classes for the next 2 weeks, and then I found out she's only here for a week, and then I realized, wait a second, Monday's Memorial Day. Like, we're not even open. So she's going to teach like a sum total of 1 class for me on this trip.
This is when Stella moved to Rhode Island. She left in her wake a class that we call Micro Monkeys. So it's 4-year-olds, and there's
3 and 4-year-olds.
3 and 4-year-olds.
In
They
fact,
have to be potty trained.
One of my children, Phoebe,
Good old
actually
Phoebes.
just turned 3.
Wow.
So I sometimes have 2-year-olds.
They have to be potty trained.
You are crazy.
There's 20 of them
Oh my heavens.
in that class.
Me and 23 and 4-year-olds.
15 is like my max. And I just right here, I'm clapping for you. I give you so much kudos
gosh,
right
I
there.
still-
That's what I did before I came over here tonight.
Do you take pictures?
The one on
He
explains.
teaches that class
Yeah.
in Kalispell, and I
Yeah.
teach at the same time at Whitefish, so I've never actually had
Okay.
the privilege of watching him coach this class.
Wow.
But I'm just impressed by just my imagination, because I know what it's like. I teach 20 plus 5, 6, 7-year-olds,
Wow.
but to have
15 is a lot for me. And people tell me all the time, Liz, you have a lot of patience, but 20, wow. And then I pretty much don't want to work with kids less than the age of 4, because for me, I just...
Actually, you didn't want 4-year-olds.
well,
you wanted 5, 6.
4-year-olds
Yeah.
that are in preschool.
right.
But so I give you both a lot of credit, because that's very demanding.
Yeah, Mondays and Wednesdays are
Exhausting.
Yeah, you need,
4:15 to 6:30, and it starts with the 3 and 4-year-olds, and then it goes right into the 5 and 6-year-olds, and then it finishes with the teenagers.
Which is the other end of the spectrum.
I think
Right.
Celine will actually end up being a great coach.
I bet
She's
she
great.
will. She has that personality that
Yeah.
I think she's very commanding. Just her interactions with people are very
Yeah.
commanding.
Yeah,
And then Gabriel's wrestling; he's doing
Holy
super well.
that's the
Moly.
human highlight reel.
he is
Yeah.
so much fun to watch.
I know. I watched when you posted that the other day. What tournament was that?
That was
And how old is he? He's
Spartan Nationals.
Is he 15?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's so fun to watch.
his first day of beach wrestling. He's never beach wrestled before. He became the national champion. He said to me, "Dad, I've never beach wrestled before. I don't know what the rules are." I said, "You'll figure them out as they go."
Don't get sand in your eye. Rule number 1.
And at first he was a little bit skeptical of doing it, and then we got to the beach, and then people were starting to wrestle, and he's like, "Yeah, right. I think I can do this," because the rules are different, and it's so much more different. And the first thing that happened is, after his first match, I could see that he got a little bit flustered because he really threw someone pretty good, and I was like, "Wow, that was kind of aggressive, Gabe." And he said, "Yeah." Within the first 10 seconds, he threw sand in my eye. I think he did it intentionally.
Payback.
So I thought
Yeah.
that kid. I know he didn't like what happened to him, but
By the way, I think all of that video was taken by Celine too.
Really?
Yeah.
She's your videographer?
She's a photographer.
Well, that
videographer.
was her deal to come on the trip. She wanted to wrestle. I said, "You're not wrestling. You just keep getting hurt. You keep getting broken bones.
You need to send her out here. We'll teach her.
Jits her up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gentle art of jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think it might be time to move into our questions.
Okay.
I prepped them for the questions, except for dun dun dun.
The theme song?
Yep.
Okay, you got to pick a theme song for yourself individually.
Oh my.
Go ahead.
For a parent theme song. So if you had a soundtrack to your life as a parent, what would it be?
I Will Survive.
At first I was afraid.
You're not supposed to sing.
That's a good one. That's a
That's
really
a good
good
one.
one. That's a really
Okay,
good
Liz,
one.
you got to pick your
Your
own.
turn, Liz.
Oh. That's like I just my mind goes blank. There's so much good music out there. I tend to turn like in this moment to like nursery rhymes. Like, you know, I have kind of a little kid spirit in me. I'm like, okay, I don't know.
So which nursery rhyme would it be?
Oh, even that I don't know.
Don't look
I'm
at me.
kinda
I can't help
stumped.
you. I
I-
was told I cannot help you. But I could go on talking some more so you can think about this.
Right.
I don't feel like anybody said you couldn't help her. Did you say that?
Oh.
No, I just said they have individual theme songs.
Right.
Well, I will just simply say that the Somewhere Over the Rainbow by, you know, the Wizard of Oz there. I just think that the whole movie is just so mind-boggling when you're a kid. And I think sometimes when you, not only being a parent, but getting onto a mat, and having it be new to you, you know, it's almost like
It's
that moment,
exciting and scary
that
at the
moment
same
in the Wizard
time.
of Oz where it goes from black and white
yes.
to color,
To Technicolor.
and it's like, wow, I didn't know this existed.
You're talking to a Kansas girl. We used to watch that every January
Love it.
19th on Kansas'
Yeah.
birthday.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, I hear in my mind right
Or is it
now,
the 29th.
Follow the Yellow Brick Road.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we all need to do and encourage these kids to do, is just keep pressing forward. And you know, all those songs, they're all flowing around in my mind right now. So
Perfect. Okay, now the big questions.
What?
Go ahead.
At what moment did you realize that you were an awful parent? Like, what was the biggest parenting mistake that you made where you were just like, yeah, I'm really not cut out to be a parent. This was probably a bad idea.
well, to generalize, I think it's when you do something that you tell them not to. That's the first thing that comes to mind. But specific, I don't know. Do you have any specifics knocking around in your skull right now, Serge?
I do, and I'm going to share something that's probably, I'm not asking permission before I share it.
Go ahead.
My daughter was a teenager, and she was so hard pressed and putting so much pressure on herself about competition and every other thing that she became suicidal. She was really in tough shape. And at that moment, I thought to myself, oh my God, what did I do allowing my child to be part of this sport, to allow her to put so much pressure on herself to succeed? And it took time for me to figure out that it wasn't my fault and it wasn't anybody's fault, in that you know, when you're going through life as a parent, especially a man with a daughter too, it's really, you kind of have them in a certain place. It's different with your sons than it is with your daughters. I wouldn't say it's better or worse. I would say it's just different, how you instinctively want to protect them more. So when Caitlin got to that really tough spot in life, and then she got through it, and then she's like, thank you for being such a good parent and for being there for me, and letting me get through that hard point. And I'm thinking to myself, I am the worst parent in the world. How did I, my kid's talking about killing herself. Well, life is messy and life is hard. And sometimes you just got to kind of put one foot in front of the other until you see the light at the end of the tunnel, because there's no preparing you for your child telling you something like that. There's no preparation of that. And maybe I'm sharing something very personal, but I think it's something really important for people to understand, is that you don't have to do anything wrong for your child to experience things that to you will feel like you did something wrong. Because it's inevitable that you will do the wrong thing and you will say the wrong thing. And what I tell my children is, I am never, ever going to be the perfect parent. I am not going to be the perfect parent. It is not going to happen. I am going to make mistakes. I will fail 1,000,000 times. But it will never be because I'm not giving 100%, or that I don't care, or that we're not trying our 100% best to provide you everything that you need. And I think my wife feels very much the same way.
I definitely agree with that.
You make mistakes as a parent,
and, I think
and as a
this-
person,
this-
and as a coach,
Yeah.
and as a father, and as a mother, and as a son.
And I think that subject too, you know, no family, you know, is above these type of very serious issues, and it could happen in any family. And
Which I believe judo is exactly what gave Caitlin. I think she was going to go through those struggles with her self, no matter what. And judo is what actually gave her the power to stand up and say, "Hey, I'm having this issue."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And that was
Struggles
particularly
are
hard for me.
if
often our
you
gifts.
talk to that girl today, she walks in the room, it's a dynamite.
I adopted her. Did you
Yes.
know that? That she's now my second daughter?
Yes,
There
we do know that, and she was very proud to tell us that.
Absolutely.
She even
I
told
mean,
me,
she's
like,
27, but
she even
she's still
told
my
me
daughter.
like something like, you said our family was funny, and Caitlin said, no, we're just really mean and we pretend like it's funny.
that's true.
It was something like that.
That's exactly what she said.
Yeah, she told me about that. She's now your child.
So now you get to recount a high point, where a moment in the course of the last however many decades where you went to bed that night and you were like, I nailed it. I did such a good job today. I should seriously, like, trumpets should be sounding. I should be getting an award right now.
I think it's hard to pick one. I think just seeing them be able to succeed and make choices for themselves. Like, okay, even with my son Serge, you know, being 25, he's decided, you know what, I've always kind of wanted to be a police officer, and I'm going to do it. You know, especially in the world that we live in.
Yeah.
You know, you look back as a parent and you want to bring them up well. You want them to serve in the community in some way and give back to people. So, you know, and I think we can look at each child individually and say, you know, like even Eddie, who we cared for a few years. His mom up and left, and a couple of years ago he was Teacher of the Year, you know, and
For the state.
And you think
That's
about
incredible.
You know, again,
we
it
could
wasn't
go on
just
all
us.
day, and I think
it wasn't
that
just
one of
us, it was
mine
a
too
community, but you look at yourselves
would
and you
be
say,
Eddie.
gosh, where would he be without us?
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, he'll tell you that.
And it was, and you stop and you think and you're like, you know what? It's just simply because of this one thing.
I think that we have
it
too
was
many
because of this
stories
one
to
thing.
share that one.
That we were there. That's all. Sometimes you just need to shut up and just be there. And I think that's allowing the kids to just be themselves and let them discover themselves. Those proud moments of when they make that decision. I'm going to do it.
I think one of the stellar moments of being a parent for me was when I gave Sandra away at her wedding.
Oh my heavens! Yes, thank you.
From the horror show that she came up through, Like,
What a joyful time that was for us.
yeah, that's
Absolutely.
definitely one of the rock star events where I was like, yeah.
And
I stole one from the devil. I really did. We stole one from the devil with Sandra. She's another one. When she walks on, the lights go on.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing.
We have to talk for one another because he and I are like this. I don't think, and I know you guys are with each other constantly too. It's really a privilege and a blessing most days. But you know, so you know, I you ask the question and I look over at him and
that would be
I
a
would say
really
that
special moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And Caitlin too. I mean,
And to give that speech.
giving Caitlin away. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%. When one day, just before Caitlin got married, her husband came in my house, and I got on my knee, and I put my hands up to him. I'm like, my knight in shining armor. He looked at me.
Yes.
I'm on my hands and knees in front of him. I'm like, my knight in shining armor. He looked at me like I was nuts. I said,
You'll see.
you'll figure it out, buddy. You're taking a big problem off my hands. Caitlin and I are super, super close. In case you didn't already know that. She is like she can predict what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do. Caitlin knows me like a book inside and out. And she plays me like a fiddle too. It's unbelievable. She knows how to get whatever she
taught
wants.
her little sisters too.
She did teach Celine too. It's awful.
I feel like the number of stories that I heard that weekend with Caitlin at Salt Lake, I feel like we could have we should have actually Serge and Caitlin on here so that Caitlin could maybe finally make amends to Serge for
All the stitches.
Oh my
my
heavens.
gosh. Every story I heard, she was like, oh yeah, I remember this one time. I'm like, does every story end with you beating the shit out of Serge?
Yes.
Right from when he was born, she reached right into that bassinet and grabbed a handful of his hair and pulled it.
Stella said the other day,
Oh my
Caitlin trained
goodness.
Serge for me.
Yeah.
By train, you mean broke.
Yes. Yeah.
So funny. Okay, so we did high, we did low. Now it's the golden nugget, which you kind of led with a pretty solid golden nugget, but one golden nugget piece of advice that maybe you want other people to hear, but maybe you wish you would have known.
You're good enough.
So perfect.
Really.
That's
You're
huge.
good enough.
That's huge. Absolutely.
I want to send something in there with God too, because God's been the rock of our everything. But you're good enough. He created you as such, and you can do what you need to do for your children. And as long as you give 100%, at the end of the day, your children will love you, and they will see that.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I'm sure Caitlin will inform you, and they will all inform you of my shortcomings. But if you say one bad word about me to my children, they will also try to light you on fire. Especially Caitlin.
Especially Caitlin. How
You
about
wanna
you,
add
Liz?
anything?
I would have to say to just believe in yourself and believe in community. And when you don't believe in either, then it's time to have a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and choose the community, though.
Oh, definitely. I
Choose your
agree.
village.
I agree. Yeah, and you know you have to check your resources, right? Who are you going to for your
Yeah.
resources?
Make
really?
sure everybody's paddling in the same direction. I think that's one of the biggest things that people don't understand
Yeah.
is that just because people are in your boat doesn't mean they're paddling in the same direction
Yeah,
as you.
I can't say enough too about just self-checking, and I'm a prayerful person, so I can't say enough about that too. Just taking time to be alone and examine and say, you know, God, what would you have of me in this? You know, please help me, because we don't know. And that's the whole thing. We're not meant to. We're really not meant to. So just, again, believe in yourself and believe that when there's a will, there is a way.
And everything comes to an end. Everything will pass. Like, we went through one difficult time with Caitlin for a short period of time when she was 16 years old. And in that moment, it seems like, how are we ever going to get, oh my God, this can't be happening to me. I was, yeah, well, you'll get through it.
Your mom
just
used
like,
to say, this too shall pass.
right, that's what my mother would tell me when I would call her about whatever, because she raised a lot of kids too.
God bless her.
Yeah.
She too had cousins and everybody living at the house. Runs in the family.
Typical for the Boyssous. We ask them for one golden nugget, and they give us way more than we asked for.
Right.
And I'm starving.
Yeah. I'm starving too.
We are so grateful to have you guys not only sitting at this table. Thanks for getting off of an airplane and succumbing to my special little plan.
I love it.
But we're also really looking forward to a great visit with you guys and hopefully many more after.
Likewise.
This.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, if Serge ever buys a house.
Housing prices are super cheap in Montana.
You
Just
have-
kidding. They're actually not.
I was going to say.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us today. If you want more information about the Growing Gorillas Martial Arts Program for kids, please visit growinggorillas.com.
And if you're interested in finding an SBG near you in the state of Montana, please visit us at sbgmontana.com.
See you soon.
Stay cold, Pony Boy.
Peace out, Girl Scout.
Catch you on the flip-flop.
Get you on the flipper dipper.
After a while, crocodile.
I don't know anymore.
See you later, alligator.
Bye.